One of the things that most frequently get asked when somebody's thinking about social media is, where do I start? So I'll just ask the panel one at a time, from your perspective. Kenneth, where do you start?
So we've already mentioned a couple tools, and they are just tools, but some of them are more popular than others. So we've already talked about Facebook, we've talked about Twitter. A number of you guys have indicated you've started an account already, and that's a great step. That's sometimes just the hesitancy to start one and not know what to do with it, but what do we do after that? And my philosophy is, it's totally fine, totally adequate to start slow and leverage the things you're already doing. So often what I say is, well, you know, it's overwhelming to think about, oh great, now I have to send out a message every day on this and all this stuff. But if you already have a newsletter that you push out or something you send out to your clientele, all of those things can be repurposed in a different medium. This is another medium. It's like having a phone line. It's like having a newsletter that you mail out. This is another way to reach your clientele. So it's not reinventing the wheel necessarily. There are new things you can do with it, but if you were to start an account, you could find ways to, based on what you're already doing, send out information that would be interesting to your clients.
Great. Lee, from your perspective, where do you start?
I would do two simple things. The first one is I would try running some ads on Google AdWords. So you go to, if you go in Google and search for Google AdWords, you'll get the URL. I think I might have put it in my document also. And it'll walk you right through it, but it's basically a lot like putting a classified ad in the paper, where you fill in a couple forms. One difference is that you tell Google what keywords or words people will be using to search for something like you. So you might pick something for your business that is what your business is, and then Los Altos, and they also help you through local listings. And then you can set your budget, and maybe you only want to pay 50 cents a day. You can keep it really, really cheap. And you'll start to find that you run these little ads and people click, and Google doesn't charge you until they click. So that ad can run and run and run until you have an interested person who they've searched. Let's say they search for eye doctor Los Altos. Your ad pops up. They don't click, you don't pay. When they click, then they go to your website. So, and then you can watch, they have little tables of how many people came per day and how much money you're spending. And so that's just a great way to start getting traffic to your website. And you can play with the wording of your ad and see which ones are most effective. So that would be the first thing I would do. The second thing to do is, and that's called, the first thing is called search engine marketing. And you can take, half an hour and get that ad running and start seeing what happens. The second thing you can do is, when you add information to your website, start thinking about making sure that your website is getting found when people search. And that's what search optimization is. So you're optimizing the wording in your website to match what people search for. Because you want to be at the top when people search for, whatever your business is in Los Altos. And there are things you can do to make sure that happens. And I've written it down on this document, but the first thing to do for that is ask your clients when they come in, what would they search for? Because it might be a little bit different than what you think. And and then eventually you're going to pick one phrase, the very best phrase you can think of that you think that most people are searching for. And then you put that on your website as many times as you possibly can without it looking funny. And Google will start to see that. And then when people type those words in, you're going to start to move up in search results. There are more things you can do, but that's a great start.
Paul?
That's good. That's good. That's all good advice. There's two pieces of advice I have. First is just spend a little bit of time thinking about what you're trying to accomplish, right? So I'm thinking if I'm sitting on the other side of the room, it could probably be pretty overwhelming. There's so many different things you can do, and the list goes on, and every day you read about more and more, and after a while you either feel really guilty or totally overwhelmed. And just starting is usually the antidote to solving this feeling of overwhelmness or guilt or whatever, but you have to figure out what you're trying to accomplish. So there's a huge difference in using these tools between trying to find new customers versus servicing the customers you have or getting repeat business from the ones that you have. So a Facebook fan page is a perfect example, is a great way to connect with people that you already have as customers. Mobile marketing is a great way to connect with people you already have as customers. Twitter might be more appropriate to help you find customers. So I'd say first just spend a little time thinking about it. Of all the things you want to accomplish, pick one that represents the biggest opportunity in your business or the biggest problem you're having. And then with that lens, you can start doing the next thing that I would suggest, which is listen instead of do. So that might be a little bit counterintuitive for a lot of people here. If you're the kind of business owner that you started your business because you like executing, you like getting stuff done. But you all know that all these tools have their own etiquette. And there's things that you're not going to know about how to participate with them. So a really good piece of advice is Twitter, for an example, or Facebook, or LinkedIn. You can do all kinds of searches and they have all these groups. And just do searches on the keywords that are important to you, and then go look at the groups, and then watch the posts that come through. And just get a sense for what's going on and what people are talking about, and who's communicating and who's posting, and spend probably a little bit more time than you're comfortable with. And at that point, you'll probably be ready for the next steps, which is what we've been talking about here, getting your Facebook page set up or starting to create some posts and so forth. So listen, I would say.